People were arrested in Holyoke as police continue cracking down on drug dealing in the city. Wednesday, while out on surveillance in Saui Park, police saw 44-year-old Anton Diaz involved in a suspected drug deal with 38-year-old Juan Carlos Llorens de Jesus. Diaz was pulled over and arrested after police found several vials of cocaine inside their car. Llorens de Jesus was arrested soon after he was found with crack cocaine, fentanyl, and cash. 55-year-old Maria Gonzalez was also arrested for drug possession at the park. Investigators then moved their operation to Sargent Street, where they observed 36-year-old Stephen Devers in suspected drug activity. He tried running from police and tossed drugs out a window. He was eventually caught and detained as police found him with 100 bags of heroin and fentanyl, dozens of vials of cocaine, and cash. Police also located and arrested 41-year-old Anthony Broden, who had warrants out for his arrest. Finally, operations moved to Cabot Street. That's where police located 47-year-old Omar Torres, allegedly dealing drugs. He was arrested after investigators found drugs on him. 50-year-old Luis Vazquez Jr. was also arrested for drug possession in the area. Police also arrested 53-year-old Pedro Rosio Torres and 40-year-old Jessica Dolick, who had outstanding warrants.